Welcome back. Today we want to decide if I'm a tool snob or what is a tool snob. And most specifically, we're going to talk about ratchets. Let's talk about it. Let's get into it. Now, I say the word tool snob because it's something funny. I believe my wife had said to me that you have to have every tool that's made. Well, that's not true. I have to have every tool I need, which is different. And I think first to be considered, we want to leave out the professional mechanics for one thing, because professional mechanics usually shop on the tool truck. And when you get hired for a professional mechanic's job, you're expected to have your own tools, and you're expected to have quality tools. And the reason they require that is because if you're borrowing tools or breaking cheap tools, then you're actually costing them money. They need you to be there and be focused and make them money. And you got to have some good quality, I guess, warranted tools to do that. So most of those guys shop on the tool truck. We're going to kind of leave the tool trucks out of this today, even though you may see a snap-on or two here and there. I don't have very many snap-ons. I quit using snap-on a long time ago because I'm not a professional mechanic. I do it for fun. I do it, me and my grandson and my son and my granddaughter, we do it to piddle around and just to have something to do. So I don't necessarily need a tool truck every payday showing up in my driveway, but it would be nice, but it's just not practical for me. So let's take a look at what we got here. We've got ratchets, got some impact wrenches. Now, I know some of the professional guys that were using these snap-on. This is an older one. This is a 14-volt. It's dead, and batteries are just about as much as a drill if you go to try to find them. So I think a lot of the pro guys, even the tool trucks, started carrying these Milwaukee and DeWalts. I think the Mack trucks, they carry DeWalt stuff, and snap-on, and some of the other ones, they carry Milwaukee. They're just good quality. The batteries are not cheap, but if you're doing the combo stuff, it's a lot easier to replace your stuff on this Milwaukee than it is the snap-on. But let's get away from that and not talk about the tool guys, because they got a job to do. They got a living to make. They're not trying to screw anybody. They're just trying to sell good quality stuff and be reliable for the mechanics out there. But somebody like me, I really don't need that. I've got some snap-on stuff around, very little. I did go to Craftsman at one time, and I'll tell you what, I've broke a few snap-ons, ratchets, but I've broke as many, probably more Craftsman ratchets and ratchet wrenches than anything. This one is an old one. It says USA on it. They wouldn't exchange it at the store because they didn't have, I don't even know if you can exchange them anymore. They didn't have the exact one, and this one's shot. I'm sure it's rebuildable. I haven't really looked into it. This one's the same way. It's I guess the bearings in it are probably rusted up, but these two big Craftsmans don't work. Now, if you're fooling around like me with heavy equipment sometimes, this comes from Tractor Supply, I believe. I don't know who makes it. It's kind of a generic branded tool, but it's cool. You can pull the button back on it and make it longer, and it ain't got a lot of teeth. It might be 40 teeth. But you don't need that if you're trying to get something loose. It's reversible. It's got a 1/2 inch and a 3/8 head on it. This has been probably one of the best things to carry in the truck I've ever seen. Very handy. This is another little specialty ratchet. It's a cobalt. It's not the best. It might be 48 tooth or something, but it also has an extendable handle. Here's the cool thing. I can't hardly do, but you can ratchet it by the handle. And when you're in a tight spot, like my grandson was, I bet that he didn't even realize this was here, but he was trying to get oil pan off his Mustang, and he couldn't reach up in there and get them. But if he'd have had this, he could have just reached up in there and ratcheted it with the handle, maybe got it loose. May not have been able to put a lot of torque on it, but got it loose. This is just a Harbor Freight Pittsburgh, and I've been using this a lot on all the 1/2 inch stuff because it's a little bit longer handle. And it works pretty good. But here's probably my two oldest ratchets that I've had, and I've had these, at least this one, for decades. It's a knockoff of a snap-on. It is a Popular Mechanics, and this either come from Kmart or Walmart. I know one of them came, this is a bench top. There used to be a bench top, a bench pro, and Popular Mechanics. They was all sold at Kmart and Walmart. They were Taiwan made, and there's 40 tool manufacturers in Taiwan that make hand tools. Some of them are very good quality. And I have to say, these are probably from that place, one of those places that had the good quality. This has always been good. It's ratcheted good. One of these, I think, this one here, one of them, the button ain't working right, and the sockets fall off. I'm not sure which one it is. I think it's this one. But it's lasted all these years. It's just got a little problem where the sockets fall off. This has been around for a long time. I've had these for years, and we've always picked these up. We had about 6 of these laying around, and I don't know what's happened to them. I'm sure they're here in the shop somewhere. And this is another Taiwan made. I can't hardly see it. This is a bench top. So that's kind of a snap-on knockoff, really. But it works. I think it's got a little bit of scratchiness in it. We've been using this one for a while. This is guaranteed for life. I'm not sure what this is. It's a Duralast. Now, you get a lot of these tools, like store brands. Napa tools, like Tractor Supply. If they're branded, this is like a AutoZone, a Duralast, I think. And if they're store branded, they're probably from one of those Taiwanese companies, because you could put your name on it if you buy so many, like 1,000. If you like to buy like 1,000 ratchets for $5 a piece, you can have your name, your tool brand put on them, and then just sell them as your own brand. That's kind of what they do with the Duralast. That's what they do with the Cobalt. All of the store brands. Here is another one that's probably this is a Duralast, little 1/4 inch, and it's pretty good. It's got a lot of teeth. And these are ones you get, like if you get like a dollar store kit or something. These are China usually. And I don't recommend these to throw in the trash. I mean, you can get, if you're out on the road, and that's probably where these come from. We've had to have something in a pinch to change the spark plug, and picked one of these up. They still work. What I don't like about them is this fiddly little back piece back here that reverses them. I know that one there feels like it's stripped. Some of the Tang tools, the ratchets, have that bigger head on them that are a little bit easier. They're Japanese, the Tang are really good tools. They're kind of pricey, about like buying Snap-on, I imagine. Not hardly as much. I know Ed China off of Wheeler Dealers, he always used Tang, and they're kind of a dull finish. And that's another way you can tell a little bit better made tool if it's real bright and shiny with cheap looking chrome, like these have like cheap looking chrome on them. And they got pits in them, look like it's rough cast. I mean, that's just a cheap chromed Chinese made ratchet that, they might last one turn. But I also like I got some DeWalt, and I have no complaints with the DeWalt hand tools. They're pretty good. They're kind of like if you remember back years ago, Mac made Stanley tools, and I think Proto maybe. They was all made at the same plant. You could get something called a Stanley Pro that was American made. I believe they had lifetime warranties on them. Myers and places like that used to sell the Stanley Pro up till recently. But the Stanley Pro was made here in America, and they were really good. This kind of reminds me of that. I know this is probably not. This is probably made in China or somewhere. It sounds like it's got a pretty high tooth count. The problem you have with some of the high tooth count ratchets is they got less teeth on the paws when you reverse them, because they got smaller teeth, and they might be easier to break. The higher the tooth count, I believe, they're easier to break. I can't confirm that for sure, but some of the bigger tooth count, even though they don't have a lot of swing, you can put a lot of pressure on them. I put breaker bars on this thing, and it seems to do the job. It's got the little button release, and I'm pretty happy. I'm going to get some more DeWalt And it doesn't see anywhere on it where it's made. It's probably Taiwan, maybe even Mexico. I don't know. DeWalt makes some stuff in Mexico. But as far as tools go, some of the better quality, cheap tools come in. Which this wasn't bad. I think this was like $40 for this whole 1/2 inch set. It's got this driver on it. Goes in your 1/4 inch drill. Pointless really, because it's hard to break anything loose with a 1/4 inch impact. And then I ran across this thing. This is another branded tool that come off of Scamazon. And this is EP Auto. And I've seen a lot of people really rave about these. I mean, they're not fantastic. The sockets they look cheap made. That chrome vanadium or whatever that word is. The sockets aren't the greatest. What I really like, and Tyler's been using these. He's actually going to order another set of them. They're kind of snap-on-y. To me, they look more like the Icons. And they may be the same plant, the same factory in Taiwan that makes the Icon. They're very similar. This is I think it's a 90 tooth count. Let's look at the box and see. It says that chrome vanadium, which chrome vanadium is usually a little cheaper. 90 tooth count. What, 4-inch swing? Is that what it says? 4-inch drive, 3-inch drive. But I mean, if you just needed to pick something up to carry in your car and do light stuff with, listen, it's got really fine teeth. I wouldn't put a lot of pressure on these ratchets. But for the look, I mean, they're thicker. They're a little thicker than the Icon. Even these, I believe. Even thicker than these other cheap ones. Because they're very similar made to the old El Cheapos that you used to get. Except they're made more like a snap-on in the front. Like rebuildable. This one's got 3 screws in it. And that screw goes all the way through and holds this locking pawl in place. So, and some of them guys is complaining that these screws come out. So you got to watch that. Maybe take it out, put some Loctite on it as soon as you get it. Take that little screw that holds that lever on, Loctite it, and put it right back in. Or else you probably lose it while you're doing a little work. But it feels good in the hand. Like I say, it's got that old snap-on look, just like the old ones. And but this is like, it's Amazon. This whole kit, 2 ratchets, and all the sockets. That's got the standard and metric, all the little sizes you need, up to looks like 19 3/4. So it's got pretty good combination, and it's got a real nice little case. The case is real well made, and this is $40. This little kit right here was $40, and this ratchet alone, if you buy an Icon, even at Harbor Freight, if you buy the Icon ratchet, it's very similar to this, but it's a little different made. I imagine they're made in the same place. I think that Eding Tools is the one that makes these, and they're probably the ones that makes the Harbor Freight, about any store branded ratchet. And Eding has a real good reputation. I tried to look them up, research them on the internet a little bit, couldn't find out anything about them. I just noticed another YouTuber had found something and said that was the factory he thought they come from. But for $39, you get the 2 ratchets, and really the sockets ain't fantastic, but that's a duller one, so Tyler must have put a different extension in here. Yeah, that's probably not the one that comes with it. Doesn't matter. But, I mean, I'd recommend this. I haven't used it, but Tyler says it's for putting that oil pan back on and doing them short throws. It was fantastic for that. But this was something, I mean, this ain't got nothing to do with hand ratchets, but this battery stays charged. It's got the extra capacity 12-volt battery. And I hardly ever change the batteries on this. The only thing I don't like, you can't put a lot of pressure on it because it doesn't feel like there's nothing in here. All you got is this head. So yeah, I wouldn't try to break bolts loose, but as far as running them in and stuff, and it's a little fiddly to change directions too. That's one of my biggest complaints. I like to be able to change directions pretty easy, but not accidentally. On these other ratchets, you'll be working them and accidentally switch directions on them. But I do like that. I like my little 1/4 inch impact. It's good for running stuff in. And then, of course, there's a bigger impact. This is the lightweight. It doesn't have a lot of torque, but it will take lug nuts on and all. And this one, it didn't have a lot of power. It's good for just doing basic stuff. The snap-on. But what do you think? Am I a tool snob? I've got cheap tools. I don't have expensive tools, but I have whatever I need. And if you need something, like if you need a specialty tool, you don't have to buy the tool. You can go to the parts house and do what they call loan a tool, where you actually pay for it, bring it home, do the work you need, and then you take it back and they give you a full refund for it. I think they may keep tax or something. But that's the best way to go when you need specialty tools. But when you don't need all these ratchets. You need one or two good ratchets. And any of those store brand seem to be pretty good. Walmart brand, I don't know what they carry in there now. They carry Hart or something. I don't know if Hart makes hand tools, but I don't like their cordless stuff. So I just kind of stay away from that. There's a store brand at Napa. I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but I believe the Napa store brand is it's a Taiwan stuff, but it's pretty good. And I don't know. We'll try some more of this EP Auto. I know they make a torque wrench, and I saw them do a torque test on it. And I think it's shorter than a regular torque wrench, and it pretty much failed all the calibration. It was really out of calibration, so I wouldn't really recommend their torque wrenches for precision stuff. But this ratchet from Tractor Supply, I see Andrew Camarada, he absolutely wires these out when he's using them. He puts bars on them, and they seem to be stout. These are made like the really old Craftsmans that had just had a toggled them back and forth, and that's about the best way to go. They got a lot of holding power. But I've seen him put big old bars on this ratchet, and I mean, he just puts the hammer to them, and I don't think he's broke one. You might break this 3/8 side if you put a lot of go whaling on it pretty hard. But I got some more breaker bars and things coming later on we may take a look at. But what do you guys think? If you're using Snap-on or you're using Mac and Cornwall, and that's part of your job, you're a professional, more power to you. You're not a tool snob. You're just a guy that's required to have the right stuff to get the job done, because that's what you're paid to do. But for the home hobbyist and home mechanic, we keep a few things, just a few tools where we can reach and get them. It's kind of messy right now. Our charger, we got our wrenches. I learned this from school. When I was in school, we had all of our wrenches marked and hung on big pins. So you just reach and get them, and then if there's, if somebody didn't put their tools up, you'd know it because there'd be some spots missing. Then we got some the handy packs that we can, metric and standard, we can carry with us whenever we're going somewhere. Tons of screwdrivers and just a little bit of everything, nut drivers, and then all of our specialty stuff that's for pullers and just tons of crap that you may use once. So I don't recommend buying any of this stuff, but I have used this, like especially the harmonic balancer pullers and things. I use those quite often. But tell me what you think. If you're working in your home shop and you just need a handful of tools, are you going to go out and buy Snap-on and get the tool truck? Or are you just going to buy what you need that works? Give me your opinion. I do appreciate you guys hanging out with me. I thank you for watching. And as always, stay clean, everybody.